Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello
guys, we are from
Group A.
My name is Nurul Aziza and PN 220204000H.
My name is Yulia Redi Magdalena, NPM 2202040025.
And now we will discuss about A. Community language learning.
B. The lexical approach. And
C.
Competency-based language teaching.
Okay, let's talk about it. A. Community language learning. The background. Community language learning, or CLL, is the name of a method developed by Charles Current and his associates. Current was a specialist in counseling and a professor of psychology at Loyola University, Chicago. His application of psychological counseling and technique to learning is known as counseling learning. The CLF view of learning is a holistic one since true human learning is both cognitive and affective. Within this, the development of the learner's relationship with the teacher is central. The process is divided into 5 stages and compared to the autogenetic development of the child. In the first, birth stage, feeling of security and belonging are established. In the second, as the learner's abilities improve, the learner as child begins to achieve a measure of independence from the parent. By the third, the learner speaks independently and may need to assert his or her own identity, often rejecting UNESCO for advice. The fourth stage is the learner as secure enough to take criticism, and by the last stage, the learner merely works on improving style and knowledge of linguistics appropriateness. By the end of the process, the child has become adult. A group of ideas concerning the psychological requirements for successful learning are collected under the acronym SART. Current 1978 which can be explained as follows. S stands for security, A stands for attention and aggression, R stands for retention and reflection, D denotes discrimination. As with most methods, CLL combines innovative learning tasks and effectiveness with conventional ones. They include 1. Translation, 2. Group work, 3. Recording, 4. Transcription, 5. Analysis, 6. Reflection and observation, 7. Listening, 8. Free conversations. Next, details training. Present a protocol of what a first day CLL class conferred, which is outlined here. 1. Informal greetings and self-introduction were made. 2. The teacher made a statement of the goals and guidelines for the course. 3. A conversation in the foreign language took place, and so on, etc. Okay, the last, conclusions. Community language learning places unusual demands on language teachers. They must be highly proficient and sensitive to nuance in both L1 and L2. They must be familiar with and sympathetic to the role of counselors in psychological counseling. Okay, next. B. The lexical approach. The background. A lexical approach in language teaching refers to one derived from the belief that the building blocks of language learning and communication are not grammar, functions, notions, or some other unit of planning and teaching but lexics. That is, word and word combinations. Lexical approaches in language teaching reflect belief in centrality of the lexicon to language structure, second language learning and language use, and in particular to multi-word lexical units or chunks that are learned and used as single items. approach theory of language and learning varies Chomsky. Influential theory of language emphasizes the capacity of speakers to create and interpret sentences that are unique and have never been produced or heard previously. In contrast, the lexical view holds that only a minority of spoken sentences are entirely novel creation and that multi-word units functioning as chunk or memories pattern form a high proportion of the fluent stretches of speech here in everyday conversations. The role of collocation is also important in lexically based theories of language. Collocation refers to regular occurrence together of words. Lewis 2000 acknowledged that the lexical approach has lacked a coherent learning theory and attempts to rectify this with the following assumption about learning theory in the lexical approach. Encountering new learning item on several occasions is a necessary but sufficient condition for learning to occur. Noticing lexical chunks or collection is a necessary but not sufficient condition for input to become intake. Okay, next, etc.
Okay, next, design objectively syllabus learning activities, role of learners, teachers, and materials. The rationale and design for lexically based language teaching described in the lexical syllabus and the application of it in the Collins Chauvel English course represent the most ambitious attempt to realize a syllabus and accompanying material based on lexical rather than grammatical principles. In general terms, Wills views the teacher's role as one of creating an environment in which learners can operate effectively and then helping learners manage their own learning. Here, the learner assumes the role of data analyst constructing his or her own linguistic generalizations based on examination of learned corpora of language samples taken from real life. Materials and teaching resources to support lexical approach in language teaching are of at least 4 types. You can see it in this slide. Next, procedure. Classroom procedure typically involve the use of activities that draw students' attention to lexical collocation and seek to enhance their retention and use of collocation. Roma 2000 suggests that teachers should re-examine their course books for collocation, adding exercises that focus explicitly on lexical phrases. They should also develop activities that enable learners to discover collocation themselves, both in the classroom and in the language they encounter outside of the classroom. Alternative approaches and methods. Hill 2000 suggests that classroom procedures involve A. Teaching individual collocation, B. Making students aware of collocation, C. Extending what students already know by adding knowledge of collocation restrictions to noun vocabulary, and D. Starting collocation through encouraging students to keep a lexical notebook. Okay, conclusion. Lewis and others have coined the term lexical approach to characterize their proposal for a lexis-based approach to language teaching. However, such proposal lacks the full characterization of an approach or method as described in this book. It remains to be convincingly demonstrate how a lexically based theory of language and language learning can be applied at the levels of design and procedure in language teaching, suggesting that it is still an idea in search of an approach and a methodology. C. Competency-based language teaching. Competency-based language teaching, or CBLT, is an application of the principle of competency-based education to language teaching. Such an approach had been widely adopted by the end of the 1970s as the basis for the design of work-related and survival-oriented language teaching programs for adults. Approach. Theory of language and learning (TBLT) is based on a functional and interactional perspective on the nature of language. Central to language and learning theory is the view that language can be functionally analyzed into appropriate part and subpart, that such part and subpart can be taught and taught incrementally. CBLT does take a mosaic approach to language learning in that the whole communicative competence is constructed from smaller components correctly assembled. Design objectives, syllabus, learning activities, role of learners, teachers, and materials. CBT, by comparison, is designed not around the notion of subject knowledge, but around the notion of competency. The focus moves from what students know about language to what they can do with it. The focus on competencies of learning outcomes underpins the curriculum framework and syllabus specification, teaching strategies, assessment, and reporting. Competencies consist of a description of the essential skills, knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors required for effective performance of a real-world task or activity. Procedure. After an initial assessment, students are placed within the framework on the basis of their current English proficiency level, their learning pace, their needs, and their social goals for learning English. And at the end, conclusion. CBLT is therefore seen as prescriptive in that it prepares students to fit into the status quo and maintain class relationship. In addition, teaching typically focuses on behavior and performance rather than on the development of thinking skills because competencies are designed to enable learners to participate effectively in society.
Okay guys,
That's all from me. Thanks for watching.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.